Now, just a quick video before I leave the house. I told you to apply your logo to indoor, outdoor settings. As you can see in this folder here, there's a lot of them. And it's called Logos Outdoor Indoor. And it occurred to me that the people for Umumi Karga are definitely going to need nighttime things, because it's a nighttime place. Now there are some things here, but quite frankly they aren't very good. So I'm actually going to take one of the ones that are here, this one actually. I've already opened it here, and I'm going to show you how to turn this into a nighttime scene. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to unlock the background and also unlock the mask, and I'm going to change this into, hold on, like so, into a smart object. I'm going to convert it into a smart object. Now the reason for doing that, and I advise all of you to do this with most of the things that you can in fact convert to a smart object, is because when you apply smart filters, what we call smart filters, onto these, you can always change them and you can always go back. And you can also do lots of other things. You can add layer masks, you can add blurs and things like that, but you can always modify what you do. So yes, we have a history palette in Photoshop, which is wonderful, and which incidentally you should always set to a high thing. So let's see, where did we do that? I need to find this real quick. It's not in general, interface, workspace, file handling, performance, history states. Yes, I have it at 204. It's under performance. I have it set at 204, and this is roughly 200 is roughly the value that you want to have for the history, so that you can go back a long ways. But in addition to that, and also because when you close your file, then the history log obviously disappears, but with smart objects, when you open the file again, it'll be there. So I'm going to go to curves now, and I'm going to bring this down, 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 like so, quite away. Okay? And as you can see, the curves are now here, and whenever I want to change that, all I need to do is click on it, and then I can make it less or more or whatever. So it'll always be here. Now we have the mask. When we close this, then everything becomes very, very dark. However, I don't want it to be this light, so I'm going to change that to something like 50. Okay, and I'm even going to add a little bit more to here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a layer mask, go to the gradient tool, to the radial one, and then I'm just going to come in here a little bit and make this even darker. So I have it at 58. Let me just raise that a little bit here. So this is now becoming just a little bit darker, as you can see, and also here a little bit, and here, oops, no, didn't want that, but definitely here. So I'm going to raise it even more, and now this should be okay. Okay, but so the design is going to go here. I'm just going to close that temporarily. What I want to do is I want to add some artificial light. So I'm just going to add a layer, put it right above this background layer, and now I'm going to go to the polygonal lasso tool, and I'm just going to select a triangle like this, add a feather which is 50, which should be okay, and just fill that. Then I'm going to change the blending style of the layer. So if I click down here, I have all of these options. I'm going to go to overlay. Sorry, this is soft light. I want overlay. Why am I not? Okay, but I'm going to decrease that a little bit so that it becomes like this. Now I'm going to put it in exactly the correct place, and I may even want to open this up a bit like so. Now I'm going to duplicate it, move it over to the other ones, put all of them in a group, call it extra light, and you basically have a nighttime setting, except the floor is still too light. So I'm just going to go all the way to the top, make another layer, get the gradient tool, go to the linear gradient now, reduce this a bit, and hold down the shift key and just darken the floor also. And then what I'm also I think going to do is I'm going to just make this a little bit higher, and again give it a name, extra dark floor. So now we have prepared the setting for our design. Okay, so now we need to change this, obviously. So let's double click on it, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take one of the Tekiref and the logo types, the other one that I made, and just use that for this. So I'm just dragging it in here, and now let's go to this one because we need to be doing some work over here. So let me center this so I can see that roughly it's going to go here. Now this layer I'm actually going to fill and I'm going to make it just a little bit lighter, and you will see why in just a minute, because I need to have some kind of background while I'm working on this here. So let me just scale it up a bit, and let's yeah, we have everything. So I'm just going to, now if I don't close this and if I save, then what will happen is that this background here will just become completely dark. I don't want that, so I'm going to save it again so that we have this here. Now this here is a multiply, and I am going to have to change that, and you will see why in just a minute, but just pay attention to that now. Now, in order to be able to work with this, I actually need to see what's going on, which is why I have that background. I'm going to add a layer style to this here. I close the word Aktar, it's a restaurant, and I may even close that stroke, I don't know yet. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a layer style to this, and I've made a few which I'm actually going to send to you with email. I made a little package here for neon effects. So I'm just going to click on this, and it's now got the effect on it. And let's do the same with stroke. Let's close the eye. Now this is a multiply layer. I need to change this to normal. So that's what it looks like now. Now you can do a huge amount with layer styles, but you do have to be careful because things may end up getting very over designed and very lacking in taste if you're not careful with what you do. Now here, obviously, I need to move this down because it's interfering with the lamp. Yep, just about. We're just about in the right place. Now I could obviously mask that, which I can also show you how to do. Except that will probably be another tutorial because I don't have time right now. So we'll leave it like this. Now, let's see. What I can do is also for example, I can change the colors of the style. So let me save this and let's see what it looks like. Probably not as good as the other one. Now, let's just take a little look at what these layer styles are all about. As I said, you can do some very, very nice things with them, but you can also over-design. There's a big danger with layer styles that you may end up over-designing. Now, you add a new layer style from here, and what I have on this particular one is first I have a stroke which is 1 pixels. It's inside, so you always have to be very careful with the values. Now if I make this say 3 pixels, look, it's immediately going to get too much. It's going to become too gaudy. It's going to become a little bit zevksiz in Turkish. So let's go back to 1, and the color is pink, and I just select that color from here. Then I have an inner glow, which in this case is white. It could also be another color. So let's say we make it orange. And there are also blend modes that you have to pay attention to. So this is a screen. What would happen if it became normal? And what would happen if it became a hard light? Things would change. Choke is how much of a glow we have. So if I increase this, you can see that it's going to get quite hard. We usually don't want it to get that hard. We want to try and keep it at a very soft value. The size is going to tell us how much it fills it. Again, we don't want that to get too much. And then we have a contour for it, so we can also change certain aspects of it, like this. So let me go back to white actually, because I think this will probably look better with white. It will probably need less of it. Well, actually no, this is probably about right. It will probably need less size. Okay, so 21 seems to be okay actually, but I will make this less and less and less and less. Now let me just make a new style. Once I've made the changes, I make the new style. So I'm going to call this pink neon inner glow. Okay. Now let's go back to the double window. Let's save it and see what happens. It's creating a very slight effect. So what I probably need to do is I probably need to increase the opacity here. So let's do it again. Yeah, now it's becoming more visible. Do I need this stroke here? Probably not. I'm just going to get rid of it. So if Tekir Efendi were to open a restaurant and want to put a neon sign on his wall, this is something that he could conceivably do. Okay, so bottom line, you can experiment with layer styles, and also you can download layer styles. There's quite a few of them on the internet. So if you just go layer style Photoshop free download, you will see quite a few of them. A good place for them is DeviantArt, which I'm not seeing here right now, but if I just go DeviantArt, then we can go directly to that Photoshop styles DeviantArt. It'll give us quite a big selection, and some very, very nice ones too. But like I said, layer styles are wonderful. However, they can become quite nasty in terms of over design. When you go too big on the values, when you make the strokes too thick, when you just be very, very careful with these. Oh, and one final thing I need to tell you about in terms of layer styles is actually the difference between opacity and fill. So when you look here, the fill of this right now is 0% and the opacity is 100%. Now the fill is something that actually relates to the layer style. So when we have this set at 0%, all we are seeing is the style and not the actual contents of the thing. Now if I make this go back up to 0, we are seeing the actual black text, which we don't want because we want to have a neon effect. So I'm just going to put this back. We can also obviously have in-between values, but for something like a neon effect we would keep this at 0. So the opacity is something quite different from the fill, and the fill relates to the layer style. When you set the fill to a lower value or to 0, all you see on that layer is the actual style and not the fill of the layer. So that's something important that I needed to remind you of. But in any case, the purpose of this tutorial was to show you how to turn something from a daytime scene into a nighttime scene. So if we go back to how it was a daytime cafe, and we did a whole bunch of things to make this become more like a nighttime scene, and we added lights. Obviously here I added a triangular light. Now if this was a round lamp, for example, then I would add a round light and then play around with that in such a way that it looks natural. No need to even say this. Then I added the thing, and then finally in the end it became like that, and I'm still not very happy with this because I think the problem here is not the actual mask but the layer itself. And now this, remember, is a smart layer. So if I wanted to, let me just close this, we no longer need this. Now if I wanted to fix something here, I couldn't do that here because it's a smart layer. I would need to double click on it and open it as the original image, and then what I would do in this case is, let me just see both of them together. With smart objects we really do need to have that. I would just get the lasso tool, make a selection, and then make this really, really big, so like 80 maybe, and then darken it from here like so. So it's a little bit darker now, but I think that'll be enough. Oops, 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 oops. No, 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 no. This looks like as if it was way too much, so I probably need to make a smaller selection and maybe make it 50. And let's try another one. Let's try lightness. Let's save it now and see what happens. No, I need to work on this, and like I said, I don't have the time right now, so I will be doing that later, maybe in another tutorial about smart objects altogether. Okay people, I will see you later.